Okay, we predicted Purdue would smoke Penn State. For the most part, they did smoke Penn State. With that said, Penn State covered. Still don't know how they covered. I mean, I know how they covered, like emptied the bench late, and Penn State won the final 10 minutes by 10 points. But point is, Purdue played awesome. We're a couple days late on this recap. It's been a wild weekend for us. We went to the Detroit Lions game. We're both in relatively good moods. Illinois lost. Purdue fans are happy about that. So uh, should Purdue feel very, very good with their performance in the win over Penn State?
See, I'm completely thrown off guard. Why aren't we talking about the post game? We're talking about the actual game.
Purdue Penn State?
Yeah, I thought we were just gonna do straight post game with Painter from now on until March.
Oh, like all we do is discuss whether he likes handshakes and court storms and if they're number two or number one.
I feel like that's all that's paid attention to nowadays. So why waste our breath on talking about the actual game? No, but in all seriousness, I don't think the score, them not covering, is truly indicative of how dominant this game was. It seems to be like kind of a pattern, but not in a bad way. Like there's a lot of games to me where they're playing opponents that they're clearly better than at home, and they're up 20 before you can even blink. And they go up 20 to 20 plus points going into halftime. And then the second half is like even, or the other team wins it by 1 or 2 points, and they end up winning games like this. I don't think it's necessarily something that's like a red flag or anything you got to raise about. I think Purdue dominated this basketball game, and it's a game they should have dominated against a bad Penn State team at home, and they handled business. So you got to show them credit to that. Not all contenders in the Big Ten were able to pull off wins as big favorites at home this past weekend, so they should feel good about that.
So I will say I'm greatly enjoying the entertainment value and also like sickeningly depressed about the rivalry between Purdue and Illinois fans because there clearly is like these two view each other as their biggest threat, or at least I don't know, maybe Purdue fans would even say they don't view Illinois as their biggest threat, but there's definitely like a this is the top tier, Underwood and Painter. They've been running the Big Ten the past couple years. And while they're like victory lapping each other and Coleman Hawkins is subtweeting them, Purdue fans are kind of taking the high road. Wisconsin's just like 2 games ahead of both of them in the conference standings and quietly not making any waves or headlines on it. I'm going to keep an eye on that one because we're only 25% of the way through the season. But it's something to me that there's pretty serious work to do from Purdue's part and Illinois' part to catch up. With that said, Purdue fans have to be very pleased with the way this weekend went because Illinois lays a giant egg. And more importantly, their team was awesome. They were up 22 points 10 minutes into this game. It was 34-12 10 minutes into this game. And all of the big names were on fire early. Like Lawyer and Jones were hitting shots. But the story was Zach Edey, man. 30 points, 20 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks in 30 minutes. He got a 30 and 20 game in 30 minutes, Cart.
Yeah, I think Zach Edey heard some of the chit chatter about how he's just kind of been just casually dropping like 20 and 8. But that's just not good enough for Zach Edey. That's not a Zach Edey monster game. And this was a monster game. Like this is 2 shots from the field, 10 for 14 from the free throw line, 20 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks to go along with it as well, and 30 points in 30 minutes. Like just a if you were wondering, if you were somewhat wavering, don't like ever forget that back-to-back National Player of the Year is going to be mine. So like let's just not lose that in sight of everything else that's being talked about.
Yeah, I need a count on how many players have a 30-20 game. Like,
This year,
how many college basketball players in history have 30 points and 20 rebounds in 30 minutes or less in a game?
I don't know. The only one I can think of is honestly another Big Ten player. I feel like Luka Garza has done that. Maybe like a Michael Beasley, Blake Griffin.
20? Those are Beasley numbers for sure. Maybe Blake. I like that call out too. I don't know if Luka ever had 20 rebounds, man. Like
Yeah,
it's so
true.
crazy. It's so crazy. It's like Oscar Tshiebwe rebounding with I don't even know who Luka Garza scoring. Like those are two other National Player of the Years, combine them, and you get Zach Edey, but 6 inches taller. Like it's
Yeah, it was.
nonsensical.
I mean, it was a dominant performance by him.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. Braden Smith, 6 points, 11 assists to 2 turnovers. You happy with that?
I'm good with the assist to turnovers. It's just gonna bother me with Braden. It is like these 6-11 games. Like I don't know. I feel so bad saying it, and I don't even blame people for getting at me like, "Well, why are you nitpicking this?" I'm nitpicking it because I think Braden Smith's one of the best point guards in the country, and he has been continually dropping like these kind of stat lines. And honestly, worse ones, like usually more turnovers, but like obviously 11 assists to two turnovers is impressive in this game, especially against a team that I consider to be good defensively in the backcourt area with Ace Baldwin and Kanye Clary. So credit to him for doing that. But I don't know, I get it. It's a blowout game. I understand that. It's just something about like these stat lines with him and the level that he can play and how good I think he is and how he's one of the best point guards in the country that just don't sit right with me.
Yeah, we want more selfishly because we love Braden Smith. And I would love for him to like every game be like 15-8 so that we could go say he's the best point guard in the country. Like the thing that holds us back from saying Braden Smith is nights like this. And I know that sounds crazy because he had 11 assists. Like on his off nights, he's controlling the game better than any other guard in the country does. Now, with that said, Ace Baldwin had 13 assists in this game. So there's a lot of assists to go around in this game. But yeah, it's just one of those where like it leaves you wanting more, even though he was stellar. And that's a weird feeling to square with Braden. I have a feeling that won't be the case next year when he has to hunt his own offense a little more aggressively. We've praised one of my players, Terrence Williams, recently for how he's built his game into just such a useful player, such a great shooter. Mason Gillis is shooting 51% from three on the season card.
Yeah, no, Mason, he's been really, really good. Like, honestly, that's a real good comparison. Like and I don't know if in Purdue circles or necessarily Mason Gillis was ever used as like a scapegoat or like that guy needs to improve playing next to this player. I always think like Mason Gillis has kind of been this. It's just that for some reason or another, like Coach Painter just like won't fully commit to like Gillis is our four man. And maybe it's
Yeah.
because they have other guys. Like obviously TKR had a really good game, but to me, outside looking in, how I would do this, and obviously I'm not a coach, and I can't wait for the comment of I know better than Painter. I don't know that, but to me, it seems very, very simple that your guys are Braden Fletcher, Lance, Zach, and Mason Gillis, and then you have other guys that can contribute off of the bench, like TKR, Heidi, Colvin, whoever that combination is first, maybe in some games. Uh, but like Mason Gillis is a great weapon and person to have at the four position, and I feel like he's underutilized, which is crazy.
Yeah, I don't think Paint should or will change the lineup just because of how much they've won. So, like, I think TKR is going to start even when we get to the NCAA tournament. But I think you could get into those games, play TKR 4 minutes, and then rock Mason Gillis like 25-30 instead of 18-20. And I think it's critical because he does open the floor up for everybody else so much. And got to give credit where credit's due, man. I do think a lot of what he does, he has shown in the past. He's never shot the ball like this, though. And maybe that sample size changes as more shots come throughout the year. But man, 51%, 23 for 45 this season is like just stellar. It's a superstar in his role, and that really, really matters. Yeah, there's not a lot to like. I don't know. We can sit here and try to make this compelling, but there's not a lot to say here. Purdue dominated as we kind of thought they would. We said sorry for Penn State that they were going to have to catch a pissed off Purdue, but at the same time, they could have looked ahead to the next game on their schedule because they're going to Assembly Hall to take on Indiana. And I think we have to give Purdue credit for taking care of business in the fashion that they did, even though it didn't end up being a 30-point blowout. It essentially was one for much of this game. Last thing I want to ask you on the freshman, Camden Heidi, 2 for 2 from 3 in this game, 8 points in 13 minutes. Miles Colvin also did the Miles Colvin thing where, like, when games are out of hand against lesser opponents, he, like, has some splashy moments, and then you don't hear from him for the next 3 weeks again. Heidi, just want to run this by you quickly, something to monitor. His minutes have upticked as we get into Big Ten play. That's notable because there's a lot of other freshmen in this conference where it's going the other way. Like, we just talked about one with Rutgers. Gavin Griffiths went from like playing a lot to he's not even playing. Heidi's still playing double-digit minutes every game in conference play. From three, he's made a three now in 5 straight games. 1 for 3, 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 1 for 2, 2 for 2 in the Penn State game from three. He's shooting 55% from three on the season. Only 11 for 20, but he's making over 55% of his shots from three. Has Edey become a guy that you trust as like a legitimate sixth man for this team?
I do trust him as a legitimate six man, and I think that it's the perfect role for him this year because there might be someone that makes the argument that like Camden Heide is a better basketball player than Lance Jones, and like I would listen to that, but you want to have it in the role that Lance is in. Like Lance is the guy who's played a lot of basketball, done a lot of things. He's obviously putting up numbers that this team needs. He had 14 points in this game. And he's a guy who's not going to be afraid to shoot the ball. 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 7 for 3. And then you can have that other player like a Camden Hyde that you could throw in the game. And I don't like looking ahead. Obviously, I think that he's getting better and better this season as it goes on, which is great to see as a freshman in his first year or redshirt freshman, whatever he is. And he's going to be a contributing factor to this team. But the main point I want to get across is that moving forward as a Big Ten fan, as a Michigan State fan, I'm terrified of 3 to 4 years of Cam Heide. And I think it is going to be 3 to 4 years of Cam Heide, and he's going to give other teams hell, and I'm going to hate it because I think he's going to be really, really good.
I think Cam Heidi's Will Sheehey, but good.
I can see it. Yeah.
I
We'll
think
see. He was good.
Yeah, I think he's Will Sheehey, but like really good. That's what I think Heidi.
He's Will Sheehey with the same Manscaped prescription as Braden Smith because, he's got that Purdue goatee going on.
Somebody asked us this. I think it was in the Discord. Maybe we missed it, or maybe we'll get to it on tomorrow's episode when we do questions. But it was like, which Purdue players have killed more deer in their careers? And Heidi and Smith was one combo, and then there were 2 others. I forget who it is. But
I feel like first is a sleepy one. Braden Smith's definitely in there. Also, do I have a good enough goatee game to be a Purdue Boilermaker?
You really do. I was not going to bring it up until you did. Actually, if we wanted to do a little sleepers bet, not that we need to, but if we wanted to, I would be willing to throw out a punishment for me where I have to rock a Purdue-esque goatee for a month.
That'd be great.
Be pretty funny.
Okay. Yeah, anything without food, I'm in.
I do. I will say when I do shave, a lot of comments on me shaving last week. I often do shave and then just leave just like a little chin here, plus either a mustache or something. I don't know. I've done it both ways, but my wife hates it. So I'll do it just to mess with her. Nobody sees it on camera, but I like walk around the house for 5 hours with it. It looks horrendous. So I'm very game for this if we want to do that. Congrats, Purdue. Big one this week. We have a preview up of Purdue, Indiana up on the channel right now. Go check that out.